I woke up on the sofa a little after 6, still in Tuesday's clothes, mouth tasting like a wet ashtray. The bottle of Talisker on the coffee table was empty. My phone was face down next to it. I picked it up, and there was the text I'd sent Andrea at 1:17 in the morning, still sitting there, unanswered. I don't even remember what it said. Something I shouldn't have sent, probably. 8 weeks the divorce had been final, and I was still doing this to myself most nights, alone in a house we bought together 11 years ago, alone in it properly for the first time since I was a kid. I got up and went to the front window because my head wanted water and my legs took me the wrong way first. The streetlights on the close were still on but going gray, the way they do right before the timer cuts them at first light. That's when I noticed the bins. Every single one was in. The Osei family's green bin was tucked behind their side gate. Mrs. Hawkins had hers back against her garage wall. The young couple at number 4 had theirs behind the low fence, out of sight. 10 houses on that turning circle, and every one of them had done what you're supposed to do the morning after bin night. Mine was still out. Sitting alone at the end of the drive, lid not quite shut. I stood there a second, and then I saw the rest of it. Every house had its curtains open and somebody standing at the window. The Oseis grouped together at theirs, Mrs. Hawkins on her own, the couple at number 4 side by side. None of them looking at each other. None of them looking at me. All of them looking at my bin. I went out to get it. Didn't bother with shoes, just the dressing gown over yesterday's shirt and jeans, out onto concrete that felt like it had been lifted straight out of a freezer. There was no sound at all. No birds, no traffic on the main road, not even the far-off hum of it. No wind moving anything. Crossing the drive, I saw the trail on the road, dark and slick. Not rain, running from the storm drain at the low point of the turning circle, up along the gutter, and stopping dead at the base of my bin. I didn't touch it. Told myself a fox had been at the drain overnight. The lid was ajar. I know I shut it the night before. I remember the click of it. And now it was sitting open half an inch. I lifted it the rest of the way. My 2 black bags were still there, untouched, and pressed into the inside of the lid in whatever that stuff was, there were handprints. More than 5 fingers on each one. 6 on the near hand. I want to say 7 on the other, though I didn't count carefully. "Come across," Mr. Burgess said. Mr. Burgess was standing in his open doorway at number 12, straight across the circle from me, still in his cardigan even at that hour, like he'd been dressed and ready before any of this started. "Now! Don't stand there, leave the bin!" I left it. I don't know why I did what he said so easily, except that his voice had nothing panicked in it at all. He didn't invite me in, stood on his own step and let me come to him, and once I was there, he just started talking, like he'd been rehearsing it his whole life and had finally been given the cue. "The tidiness bylaw," he said. "The bin rule. It's just a cover, always has been. The first chairman wrote it that way back in '74 because you couldn't exactly put the truth in a residence letter." "What truth?" I asked. I remember saying it flat like that because some part of me already didn't want the answer. He told me anyway. Before the council ever signed off on this estate back in 1971, the land underneath us had been a burial ground. Unmarked. Used from the 1820s through to the 1890s for the workhouse dead off Kingston Road. People nobody bothered naming on a stone. The developers were told. They filed it as cleared and built anyway. And the storm drains that run under this close Every gutter on every house all connect down into that same old ground. "Once a year," he said, "the Tuesday in October. Something comes up through the drains. It's drawn to anything left out after the streetlights die." "Drawn to it how?" I asked, and he didn't blink. "The bins are the trigger. Taking them in before the lights cut, that's the signal. It tells the thing the house is occupied, claimed. It reads an empty curb as a house that's spoken for, and it passes by." "And mine wasn't in?" "No," he said, "no softening in it at all. It doesn't go inside the bin," he said. "It doesn't need to. It takes the scent of the house, whatever's in those bags, and that's how it learns who lives where. Yours was out all night. It's already been at it. It knows your house now." I stood there on his step in my bare feet and my dressing gown. "Right," I said, because I didn't have anything better. "There's one thing you can do," he said. "Every light in the house, on before dark. Make it look claimed, aggressively claimed. And whatever you hear after dark, whoever's outside that door, you don't open it. Not for anyone." "How do you know all this?" I asked. "How do you know any of it?" "I've kept the record since '74, he said. "Drew Baldwin told me, first chairman. He saw what happened to the man who left his bin out the first time." "What happened to him?" Just looked at me, pale eyes behind those glasses, and I understood there wasn't going to be more. I turned and started back across the turning circle, past the Osase's window and Mrs. Hawkins's window and the young couple's window, all of them still watching. And my bin was still there at the end of my drive, lid open, alone, right where I'd left it. Behind me, Johnny's door clicked shut. I went back inside and filled the sink with hot water, splashed in more bleach than I needed, and carried the scrubbing brush out to the bin like a man with a plan. Scrub it off, bag it up, get on with the day. The prints came off easy. Too easy, if I'm honest. A few passes with the brush and the lid was just plastic again, gray and ordinary, water running pink-brown off the edge and onto the drive. I brought the bin in and stood it against the side wall of the house, out of sight from the road, like that mattered. At 2 o'clock, I went out to check on it because some part of me needed to see it clean again to believe it. It wasn't clean. The handprints were back, darker than before, and they weren't sitting on the surface this time. They looked like they were coming through it, from underneath, the way a stain comes through wallpaper when the pipe behind it's been leaking for months. I hadn't touched that bin since I scrubbed it. Nobody had. I stood there with my hand still smelling of bleach and understood that washing something doesn't help when the thing underneath is still there. So I decided to leave. My sister's in Dorking, 7 miles, maybe less. I got in the Golf, put the key in, and turned it. And the engine did that turning over thing engines do, that dry, churning cough, and didn't catch. I tried it again. Same. A third time. Same. The dash said the battery was full. I sat there a 4th time with my foot flat on the pedal like that was going to make a difference, and it didn't catch that time either. Fine. I could walk it. Out to the main road, get a taxi, sort the car out later. I walked down my own driveway and along the pavement, keeping to the left, heading for the gap where the Close meets the Leatherhead Road. It's not far. 2 minutes, maybe less if you're not hurrying. I was on my own driveway again. I stood there a second like I'd made some mistake with my feet, turned round and did it a second time, faster now, eyes fixed the whole way on the gap between the end houses so I couldn't drift or get turned round without noticing. I watched that gap the entire walk. I did not look away from it once. I was back on my driveway. I didn't try a third time. I started knocking on doors instead. Number 5, first. Nothing. Though I could see someone standing back in the hall, not moving, not answering, just watching me through the frosted glass like I was something on television. Number 9, same. Number 11, same again. A shape near the stairs, still as a coat rack, not so much as a shift of weight. 3 doors and not one word. And at every single one, somebody home and choosing not to be. Number 3, I hadn't tried yet. Mrs. Hawkins's house. I went up and knocked again when nothing happened, and I was about to give it up when the front window cracked open. 2 inches, maybe less. Enough for her voice and nothing else. "No point trying to leave," she said. Quiet, like she didn't want the street hearing it either. "The road's done this before. Just wait until it's over." "I tried walking out," I said. "Got to the end and I was back on my drive. Twice." She didn't seem surprised. "Someone tell me what's happening," I said. "One of you, just tell me. One of you, just tell me." She was quiet a second, like the name was going to cost her something to say. "Ernest Leonard," she said. "He lived at your house, number 7, 1987. "What happened to him?" "He left his bins out, October, a Tuesday, same as this one. The door was open in the morning, his car was still there. He wasn't." "They never found him?" "No. It checks number 7 first, always has. Your house is the one it goes back to." The window clicked shut. No goodbye, no softening it. Just the small, hard sound of the latch going home, and me standing outside number 3, working out that my house hadn't been a house that got unlucky this one October. It had been waiting 11 years for someone to leave that bin out again. I went back inside and did exactly what he'd said. Every light. I didn't leave a single switch alone. Overhead lights first, room by room. Then the little ones, the bedside lamp in my room, the strip light over the kitchen counter, the bathroom pull cord that Andrea always said needed replacing and I never got round to. The landing light, the one above the back door that I don't think I'd switched on more than twice in 11 years. By the time I'd been through the whole house, it was gone 4:30 and already going that flat gray October color outside. I locked the front door, locked the back, locked the door through to the garage, which I never bother locking, and stood there a second with my hand still on it. I didn't go out again, not for the bin, not for anything. Then I waited. At 7, near enough, the light in the back bedroom went. Not a flicker, a crack, sharp, like a knuckle popping, and then just dark up there. I went up and checked the bulb, and it was fine, sitting in the fitting, glass hole, filament hole, as far as I could tell in that light. Not blown, just off. Then the bathroom went the same way, then the second bedroom, then the landing, working toward the front of the house, back to front, each one that same sharp little crack like something biting down. I had spares in the kitchen drawer. Andrea always kept them there. I put 2 new ones in. Both died in my hand near enough, seconds after I'd screwed them home. I stood on the landing holding a bulb that had gone from working to dead in the time it takes to say a sentence. Something was moving through my house from the back to the front, and it didn't need the wiring's permission to put a light out. I heard the bin lid go, one hard clap of plastic on plastic out past the kitchen window, and then something dragging itself up the drive. Slow. Wet. Not hurrying at all. 3 knocks at the front door. Soft, even, spaced out. "It got out," Johnny said, his voice muffled by the frosted glass. "Jordan, open up. Let me in. Jordan, you need to open the door and let me in." My hand was already on the latch before I'd decided anything. I looked up through the glass and there was the shape of him, right height, right hunched to the shoulders, one hand up against the pane, fingers spread flat like he was steadying himself. I counted them. 7, maybe 8. I took my hand off the latch. That's when I looked up and saw the ceiling. Wet handprints, the same dark color as the ones on my bin lid, blooming out across the plaster above the door like something being pressed through from the other side. It wasn't waiting. It was already halfway in. The door bulged, not cracked, bent, the wood pushing inward at the middle the way a tarp bends when you lean a hand into it from underneath. I ran. Kitchen, the only room left with its light still on, and I stood in it. The door gave. Not a splinter, a soft collapse like something letting a held breath go. And then wet footsteps in the hall, dragging, slow, coming my way. Every light, aggressively claimed. That's what he'd said. I grabbed what was mine off the windowsill, the photo of Daisy and Felix in the frame that's been sitting there since we moved in, and the drawing on the fridge, the one Daisy did when she was 6, a house with a sun over the top of it, and my name written underneath in crayon because she wanted it clear whose house it was. I got my wallet off the counter too, license and all. "This is Jordan Carlson's house," I shouted, my voice cracking in the dark. "Daisy and Felix live here. I've been here 11 years. It's occupied. It's mine." Pressed Daisy's drawing flat against the wall with my palm. The footsteps stopped. I could see it from the doorway. Low, hunched, wide across the shoulders in a way nothing built like a person should be. The color of wet clay. Water running off it and pooling dark on my hall floor. And above it, the handprints on the ceiling, gone still, holding their shape. It didn't come any closer. Then the kitchen light went. That same crack. And the house was completely dark, all of it. And I was standing there holding a photograph of my children with something breathing between me and my own front door. I don't know how long that lasted. Long enough that my arm went dead from holding the frame, and I didn't put it down. Gray started coming through the front windows eventually. Then it went white, and at the exact second the streetlights on the close cutoff on their timer, the shape in the hall pulled back. Not fled, pulled in on itself and dragged itself toward the front of the house and then down through the floor. I stood in that kitchen until the light in every window was proper daylight, full up, nothing gray left in it. Then I went and looked. The hallway floor was wet, nothing else. The front door was shut, whole, not a mark on it. I went through every room, nothing, no smell, no sound, no water anywhere but that stretch of hall floor. I stood there in the daylight, floor wet under my bare feet, door in one piece behind me. And there was nobody else in it. Just me. I don't know how long I stood in that kitchen with daylight coming up before I made myself go out the front door. Half an hour, maybe? Long enough that the floor in the hall had gone from wet to just damp, and I'd found dry socks and put my shoes on like a man getting ready for an ordinary day, because I didn't know what else to do with my hands. The bin was still at the end of the drive, lid open, same as I'd left it, except when I got close, I could see the inside of it was just plastic again. No handprints. Not scrubbed off, not faded. Gone. like they'd never been pressed in there at all. I looked at the road where the trail had run from the storm drain up to the base of the bin, and there was nothing. Dry tarmac. I walked over to the drain itself, right at the low point of the turning circle, and crouched down and looked into it. And it was dry too. Not even damp at the grate. Birds were going in somebody's hedge. A car started up somewhere off the close, ordinary as anything. The whole place looked like a photograph of itself from any other Wednesday morning. I went to find Johnny. His front door was standing open when I came up the path, not wide, just enough that I could see straight down his hall into the dark of the house. And the dark didn't move, and nothing came out of it. I stood on his step the way he'd stood on his the morning before, except nobody was there to tell me what to do with myself. "Johnny?" I said, not loud. My voice didn't seem to want to be loud in front of that door. Nothing. I went in. His hall smelled of nothing worse than an old man's house, some kind of polish, tea gone cold somewhere, a coat on a hook that had been there a long time. I said his name again, further in, past a front room with the curtains still shut and a chair with an indent in the cushion like he'd only just got up out of it. Nothing was knocked over. Nothing was broken. No mark on the carpet, no smell of the drain, none of what my own hall had looked like an hour before. Just a house that a person had walked out of and not come back to. The back door was open too. Onto a little garden, neat rows of something planted along one fence, and past that, a gate into the alley that runs behind the close, and the gate was standing off its latch, swinging maybe an inch in whatever breeze there was. I didn't go through it. Something in me knew there wasn't any point. That's when I saw the cards. They were taped to the wall of his hallway in careful rows, the kind of thing you'd walk past every day of your life and stop noticing. Index cards, gone a bit yellow at the edges the further back they went. Each one had a year on it, and under the year, a name, and under the name, a house number. All in the same neat hand. The hand of a man who'd written the same 3 lines 11 separate times across 11 years and never once let his writing get sloppy about it. 1974. Drew Baldwin. Number 2. I stood there and worked out that was the chairman, the one who'd made up the tidiness bylaw as a story you could put in a letter because you couldn't put the truth in one. 1987. Ernest Leonard. Number 7. My house. There were others between them I didn't know, and a couple after, spaced out over the years, and the last full card was from 2019. Beside it, taped up already, waiting, was a blank one. Nothing written on it at all. I understood it the way you understand a thing all at once instead of piece by piece. Johnny hadn't just known the history. He was the one who'd kept it. Kept it so whoever came after him, at whichever house it was, would have some kind of warning instead of finding out the way I had. Drew Baldwin must have told him in 1974, same as Johnny had told me on his step. And Johnny had gone on keeping that record every single year since, alone, in a house nobody else ever needed to walk into. And the voice that had come knocking on my door in the dark, saying my name through the frosted glass, telling me to let it in, that hadn't been Johnny asking. That had been the thing wearing him like a coat, using what it had already taken to get at what it hadn't. Johnny Burgess was gone. There wasn't going to be a body to find, and I already knew that the way you know a house is empty before you've checked every room. I reached up and took the blank card down off the wall. My hand wasn't as steady as I'd have liked holding it. I found a pen in a little dish by his phone, and I wrote the year, and under that I wrote my own name, and under that I wrote number 7. And I taped the card back where it had been waiting, because that's what it had been waiting for. Then I took the rest of them down, one at a time, careful with the tape so I didn't tear the old paper, and stacked them in order. Drew Baldwin on top and my own name at the bottom, and I carried them back out through his open front door and across the turning circle to my own house. Because his house was empty now, and somebody had to be the one holding the record. That was the last October I ever left my bin out past dark. Every Tuesday night since, I've put it out at the end of the drive with everyone else's, and every Wednesday morning, before the streetlights on Harrow Vale close cut off on their timer, I've brought it back in. I haven't been late once. Some Wednesdays, I'm out there in my dressing gown at 5:30 with the whole close still dark, watching the timer. And I don't mind it the way I thought I would. The cards live in the drawer of the little table in my hall, the one that used to hold takeaway menus and spare batteries and nothing that mattered. Each October, I check the blank one I've left ready at the back, same as Johnny must have checked his for 11 years. In case the year ever comes when it's needed, and I'm not the one who gets to write it. Tonight, I slid that drawer shut on all of it. The 11 old cards and the one waiting behind them, and went to the front window before I went up to bed, the way I do most nights now without really deciding to. Out on the close, the streetlights were still burning, steady and yellow along the turning circle, every bin on every drive already brought in and put away where it belongs.